Hello and welcome to my fairy tale channel. My name is Jadwiga, your fairy tale teller. In this story, I'm going to tell you it's about an old woman who is left behind by her tribe. So you probably know about that story of the two old women far north in Canada who are left behind by their tribe because there is a famine and people are weak, and many of them have already passed away by hunger. And the tribe decides they cannot afford the power and the food for these two old women who are not able to do any share for their tribe. So this would mean they would have to share their food with them. They would have to pack their stuff. Somebody would have to pull their sleighs because these two old women were no longer able to do that for themselves. And so the tribe decides, no, we cannot. If we want to survive, we have to leave them behind. And you probably know that story that these two old women denied to die. They recover and remember their skills, and they start hunting and building traps, and they they succeed, and at the end they are able to feed their tribe because they have prepared so much food and so many furs and clothes and things people of that tribe need that they are able to provide them with that. But on the other hand, yes, they felt lonesome. Yes, they missed these people. But on the other hand, they were afraid because cannibalism was an issue too. So this is a taboo. Nobody talks about it. But when people are really, really, really hungry, sometimes this is an option. So, and who are we to judge about them? But this is not the subject in this story I'm going to tell you now. So there was an old woman, and the tribe said, she is not able, she's too weak. She probably would not survive the travel to the summer camp. So we leave her behind. And since they were convinced that she would pass away anyway very soon, they didn't even leave her any food. They just packed their stuff and left, and she stood at the shore and watched their kayaks and canoes disappear. And of course, she was very, very sad. Now, but I don't want to die, she said to herself. So she walked the shore because there was nobody to hunt for her or to provide her with food from somewhere else. It was not the season of berries and fruit. So the only chance to find something edible was at the shore. And yes, she found shells and mussels. She found crabs. She found sometimes a fish that had been trapped in the seaweed. So she was not really satisfied, but at least no longer hungry. And one day she found a tiny little worm, and she took that worm into her hand and said, "Oh, you little fellow, you are as lonesome as I am. I take you home and be my companion." So she took that little worm in her hand and brought it home, and she fed it and she cared for it and she made it feel warm and nice at night, and the worm grew. The worm grew. It became bigger and stronger. And one day it was so strong that he could hunt a bird or a rabbit or some little animals like a squirrel or something like that. At least she had meat. And by having so much more food, she could, of course, share it with the worm, and the worm grew even faster and bigger and stronger. And one day he was so strong he could even catch seals. And now they were They were really happy and satisfied and had everything they wanted. But the old woman missed her people. Yes, she missed them. And when the time came closer, when she knew they have to come back to that winter camp, she often stood at the shore and watched out for their kayaks to come. She was looking forward to be reunited with her tribe and with her family. But on the other hand, she was a bit concerned about the worm. The worm might be angry that her tribe had left her alone, and she was afraid what the worm could do with them. And really, when she saw the kayaks approaching and coming nearer and nearer and closer, and she could even see the faces now, the worm dove into the water, and between the kayaks, he made such big waves and he hit with his tail so that the woman was afraid they might drown. And she shouted, she called him, come back, come back. This is my family. I love them. I need them. Don't do them any harm. But the worm did not hear her. It was so enraged. So in her despair, she grabbed the kayak that had been left behind. And with the end of her strength, she went there and again shouted to the worm and said, stop it, stop it. These are my people. This is my family. I love them. I need them. Don't do them any harm. But the worm would not stop. And then with his tail, he hit her kayak and it broke apart. And now she was about to drown. But fortunately, the worm just realized what he had done, and he very carefully took the old woman and brought her back to the land. Now, the tribe, and then it disappeared. The tribe was very, very surprised that she was, not only that she was still alive, but that she had regained power, that she looked very healthy and well fed, and she did not tell them her secret. She never talked about that. And the worm never ever appeared and showed himself to the people. But the old woman sometimes walked the shore. And then the worm would come and she sat down and they talked to each other because they were still very good friends. Yeah, did you like that little story about help and compassion? And yes, also the need. So it shows we do not only need food and shelter, we also need other people. We need company. We cannot survive all alone. This is simply impossible. And we are not meant to be alone. So I hope you liked this little story. If yes, give me a thumb. And thank you for watching so far, and hope to see you next time. Bye.